Hello, all you Knob Goblin YouTubers. Here we are, another day, another video. This time it's one of my pop culture reviews sort of thing. So, once again, spoiler alert for any of these things that you may plan on playing or watching or reading or whatever I may be up to. So, first things first, we had a delayed Thanksgiving celebration last weekend that was supposed to be the weekend before. And while they're talking to family, friends, and stuff like that, my one friend Josh, who is the older brother of Simon, who I always play my retro video games with, he was mentioning a certain 80s movie that he recently watched that was pretty funny back in the day and still holds true to this day. And so then me and James is like, can we watch that? And I'm like, yeah, we can watch that. So we got it. It's on Netflix, so we watched it this past weekend. And the movie in question is from 1987, directed by John Hughes. Not one of his teeny bopper movies, something a little different. And that movie in question is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This movie features Steve Martin and John Candy together as a comedic pairing, an odd couple kind of thing. Steve Martin plays a character named Neil Page, who's in advertising / marketing, and he's in New York at their headquarters or whatever, and a very late meeting goes into the afternoon, and he just wants to go home because it's Thanksgiving weekend coming up. So the meeting finally ends. He gets the hell out of there, goes to the airport, but before he can get to the airport, he has to catch a cab, and he has a real hard time getting one. Finally, he looks to have grabbed one, but as he's discussing it with somebody else who's trying to take a cab, somebody else comes in and snatches the cab from him. And right before the cab takes off, the window rolls down, and the guy inside the cab that stole the cab looks at him like, "Whoa," and then he takes off. So Steve Martin, Neil Page, has this image of this guy that stole the cab from him, right, as well as his big stickered trunk that's placed in the trunk of the cab. So then he finally gets to the airport, and as he's waiting in the lounge for the flight, he sees this fellow that stole his cab across from him, and they're like, you know what, oh, it's fine, whatever, I got here, it's all good, sort of thing. They both get on the plane, and lo and behold, Neil Page's first class ticket has been revoked because it's been overbooked, whatever the case, and he ends up sitting in coach right beside this other fellow that stole his cab. They get conversing. This other guy's name is Del Lafferty. And he sells shower rings for a living. But he's a real kind of slob, a good-natured guy, but a slob and a talker. And Neil Page just wants none of it, right? It's just these two combative personalities that don't mix, sort of thing. Anyways, Neil's trying to get home to Chicago, as is Del. But there's a massive snowstorm that rolls into Chicago, so the flight is diverted to Wichita. There's no hotel rooms available, so Del actually has one. Neil ends up rooming with Del. They have a big fight, and then the rest of the movie just rolls on as these two are together, and then Neil tries to separate from Del, but they always keep coming back together and spending time together on their journey to get back to Chicago. It includes a train ride that breaks down, another hotel room experience, a car rental gone awry, and all these other experiences. But along the way, Neil Page has kind of especially as he gets close to home and he gets on the train and they separate ways for the last time, and he looks back upon their adventures, and he actually looks back on them fondly and starts laughing about it. And then when he starts thinking about his family and then starts thinking about Del at the same time, some of Del's comments come to his mind, and Neil he thinks to himself, like Del always talked about his wife and stuff like that, and his home and his job, and some cryptic comments along the way, and Neil's like, I don't think he has a home. I don't think he has a wife. So Neil ends up going backwards on the train, going back around to the station, finds Del just sitting on his own in the station, and Del admits, I don't have a home. My wife died 8 years ago. I'm just this traveling kind of loser, right? So then Neil invites Del to his home for Thanksgiving, and it kind of ends on a much happier note than most of the movie kind of went along. So it's a really funny movie. I love 80s movies because they're so bloody recognizable. The music, the cars, the fashion, the filming and the feel of it. I love 80s movies, and this is just one of those instantly recognizable ones too. And then you have two legends in Steve Martin and John Candy, right? And there's a whole bunch of other cameos along the way. A lot of people from Ferris Bueller's showed up in there, like Ben Stein, and then the girl that played the secretary at the school, and then there was another one too. So really cool movie, really funny, and yeah, definitely watch it if you never have. All the rest of this stuff is games that I've completed recently, and the first one up is a doozy. Spoiler alert: Alien Isolation for the PS3. If you remember, a while back, I read this book, and by reading the book, I found out there was a game, so I had to get the game. And 15 years after the events of the first Alien movie, Ellen Ripley's daughter, Amanda, is approached by a Weyland-Yutani executive, or no, he's actually an android or a synthetic, I forget his, Samuels is his last name, saying, oh, this ship called the Inesidora recovered the Nostromo, Ripley's ship, its flight recorder, and it's now being held on a space station called Sevastopol, which is owned by Seegson, which is kind of a rival of Weyland-Yutani's, although a much smaller rival. Do you want to come on a mission with me and Nina Taylor, who's an executive for Weyland-Yutani, to recover this and maybe get some answers on what happened to your mom all those years ago? She's like, F yeah. So they go to this station. It's anything but smooth landing as they find some damage on it and communications are down, but they do a spacewalk, gain admittance to the station, although they're split up along the way. Amanda Ripley goes one way, the other two are go another way. So once Ripley's on the station, it's quickly discerned that something is wrong. The people in the station are turning on each other, they're violent, and there's some sort of weird creature aboard that's snatching people and killing them, and it's just a violent, horrifying scene. So the rest of the game plays out as you... it's not an action game. It's not like Colonial Marines where you've got a pulse rifle and you're blasting aliens all over the place. There's only one alien on the station, as well as a bunch of angry people, as well as a bunch of Seegson synthetics, which are just as dangerous as the aliens. So you have very limited weapons. You can craft like pipe bombs and stuff like that. You eventually do gain a flamethrower, a shotgun and stuff like that, but you cannot kill the alien. You don't have enough. You can only fight it off to live another day with the flamethrower. So this game is like a horror game, but it's a stealthy, sneaky one. You are trying to get from point A to point B. The alien's somewhere in between. You gotta like sneak around, hide in a locker, hide underneath a desk sort of thing, and move on to your destination. So very different kind of game from the normal ones I play, but so addictive. I played the Christ out of it, and eventually beat it. And it was a tough battle, and I was overjoyed that I beat it. Because it was a major accomplishment, because the game's hard, but also just a big sigh of relief because it was intense. Very intense, but very awesome. It's a PS3 game that looks like a PS4 game. Very well done in every single aspect. Awesome game. Next up, another awesome game, this time for the PS4, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Amazing game. Focuses on this fella in front, Cal Kestis, who was a Jedi Padawan when the events of Revenge of the Sith happened and Order 66 decimated the Jedi. So he fled and ended up on a planet called Bracca, I believe it was, which was like a salvage planet. They salvaged old starships and stuff like that. And so he just did not use his force powers, laid low in hiding. However, one day when his buddy, I forget his name, they're working on a ship, and this guy falls from a great height and is plummeting to his death, and Cal uses the Force to save him. But instantly, boom, the Sith Inquisitors sense this disturbance, and they're after him. So Cal has to escape from them, and along the way, this ship called the Mantis swoops in and saves him, and on board is a small alien pilot named Grease and a former Jedi named Seer. So they kind of take Cal on, and Seer has her demons. She was a Jedi Knight who kind of fell to the dark side briefly when she was under torture from the Empire, and her Padawan Trilla ended up becoming one of the Sith Inquisitors, and so it's kind of Cal teams up with these two, even though there's a bit of it's not comfortable because of Seer's kind of dark side affiliations, but although it was in the past, there's a feeling out process between this team. But as the action goes on, they come together to form this really cool unit. And their first stop is a planet called Bogano, where there's a vault built by an ancient civilization called the Zepho, where apparently a Jedi Master who's long since passed, named Cordova, hid a holocron with hundreds of locations of force sensitive children out in the galaxy. So Seer's plan, along with Cal, is to locate this holocron and rebuild the Jedi Order with these force sensitive children, and get this holocron before the Empire can, and do what they will with these children. So this is your task throughout the game, and along the way you have all these revelations about your past, about Seer, about everything, and you have to face off against Inquisitors, and you go to planet Kashyyyk, where you see Tarful briefly. You go to Dathomir, where you engage the Night Sisters and gain an ally in one of the Night Sisters named Marin. And eventually you end up on a lava-type planet where it's kind of the Inquisitor's fortress, and you have to go in there and get the holocron back after it's stolen from you. And there is a certain someone who cameos at the end of it for the Empire that causes kind of the last battle of the game, and it's just amazing. Again, spoiler alert, right? So, really awesome game. These two games were both amazing, and I played the bejesus out of them. Fallen Order started really slow. I did not like the planet Bogano. Just something about it rubbed me the wrong way. So I had a really slow start on the game. But once I moved off of Bogano and into the other planets, it was like, give me more, right? Like I played the bejesus out of it. So as you can see by my gameplay videos on this channel. So next up, going down to the PS2, the 5th game in the Ratchet and Clank series, called Size Matters. So Ratchet and Clank are on the beach on vacation in this one, and they see this little girl named Luna come up to them and says, I'm doing a project on heroes and stuff like that. And so she suckers them into, going along with her and stuff. And along the way also, Ratchet and Clank find some information about an ancient race called the Technomites, which Clank believes once did exist, although Ratchet's a little more, I don't think so. And as the events move on, and they help Luna with her little project or whatever she's up to, they eventually find out that Luna's actually a robot, and she's bad, and she's working for the leader of the Technomites, a guy named Emperor Auto Destruct. And what he's done is he has cloned Ratchet and made robot Ratchets out of him, because Ratchet has been such a fierce warrior that saved the galaxy a number of times. So basically your task, once all of this is discovered, is to eventually track down the Emperor Auto Destruct and destruct him and stop this him from unleashing this scourge of robot Ratchets on the galaxy and paying the galaxy back. His problem is that the Technomites haven't gotten their due for all of their technological advances that they've brought to the world, sort of thing. So that's his big beef. So you just got to take him down. No problem. Last up, for the PS3, Transformers, Fall of Cybertron. This comes after War for Cybertron, I think, is the follow-up to that. So it takes place on Cybertron as the planet is basically becoming uninhabitable through the Civil War, and you're playing as the Autobots mostly, as they're trying to round up everybody before they get away on the Ark and escape. So there's only 13 missions. Most of them are pretty short to medium length. It's a very short game, but lots of fun. And every mission you kind of control a different character. Mostly Autobots, but some Decepticons as well. Starts with Bumblebee, then you go to Prime, then it's Jazz, I think, or Cliffjumper, then Jazz. You eventually get to control Grimlock for a couple missions, Soundwave as a Decepticon, Megatron even, as this kind of battle unfolds across the surface and underneath Cybertron as the Autobots try to get to the Ark. Not much more to say about it. It's just a really quick, fun action adventure. Not many revelations in it, really. Looks amazing, plays really good. Really well. I'm not an idiot. Just a really fun game. I wouldn't pay too much for it, though, just because of its short length. But if you're a Transformers fan, obviously you're going to pay a bit more than other people. I was just finally glad to add it to my collection of Transformers games. But like I said, really fun. The differences in weapons and abilities between each character really lent a lot of variety to the game, and they worked in a lot of little Easter eggs too. My favorites were the Dinobots. They worked in a couple of things from the original Transformers animated movie from 1986 when you'll probably see it. It's part of the footage I put in one of my Transformers unboxing videos when it was somebody that premiered in the Transformers animated movie. You'll see Slag, the Triceratops Dinobot, knock down a door and crush a Quintesson and go, "Excuse me." They worked that into this game. A similar type of scene with Slag saying that. And then also when Slag and Grimlock get into a fight about what's better, this weird kind of bologna or this weird kind of salami, and they go back and forth. They work that in as well. So a couple little cool Easter eggs like that. But overall, super fun game. Easy to play. Quick adventure. But also a lot of fun. So that's it for now. Just the one movie and all those games. Like I said, I've got all this time during the day to just have to myself, so I'm getting a lot of stuff done. And I've already got a pretty good start, I think, for the next video. So you'll probably see that in the next couple, 2-3 weeks as well. I will be back with that. So in the meantime, stay warm, and we'll see you then.